Potts. I'm the Agent Service Coordinator of Keller Williams Elite in Plainville, Massachusetts. We have Jen Hoyt, who is our Market Center Administrator, hopping on for the time being, just to help me out because she heard my.
But just so you guys are aware, neither of us do this completely, but we can definitely help you through all of this. I've taught Ignite before, Lauren's taught Ignite before, so you're in good hands.
Perfect. Yes, I had a technical difficulty. Not sure what the lead instructor is, but we're here to save the day. We've got it. All right. What we are going to do is, as usual, we're going to focus on growing and running the business. So for this, you've already covered the basics in Spark about all the lead generation model. I hopped on last week with Josh and we talked about how to find and win the buyer. Today, we're going to talk all about marketing, which is a tool that enhances your prospecting. For example, if you're outdoor knocking around at an open house, you're going to have some kind of piece of either print marketing, digital marketing that's going to enhance what you're already doing as a form of material. Does anybody know what marketing is, if they could define it?
This is Lauren's forte. Just so you guys are all know, you're in very good hands with her here. She's finishing up her last class for her MBA in marketing right now. So
I am. Today's the first day of school.
No one knows marketing.
We got some friends in the chat. Let's see. Marketing is like fishing with a net versus prospecting is like fishing with a pole, right? It's much easier to fish with a net, whereas when you're fishing with a pole, it's focusing your attention on one specific thing. Good analogy. I like it. I think the biggest difference is that this is more money intensive versus time and energy intensive. Marketing is a passive form of lead generation. And it is attracting leads, hoping that they come to you. They may not necessarily. So it's kind of a hope that they are coming. It's going to enhance what you're already doing with your one-on-one prospecting, whether it be making phone calls, doing door knocking, things like that. So jumping into things. In this session, we're going to talk about the difference of marketing versus prospecting. We're going to think deeply on marketing a little bit more. Take action. We're going to dive into command in the design section where you will be able to design and create marketing materials yourself. And then we're going to recap. So after this session, you'll be able to very much differentiate the difference between marketing and prospecting, which I know that this class highlights a lot as different forms of lead generation. All right. As we kind of covered in the first few slides, take a look at this. Let me just pull up my slides here. Perfect. So as we mentioned, prospecting is active and usually isn't super money intensive, more time intensive. Marketing is passive and can be more money intensive. Prospecting, whether it be door knocking, phone calls, things like that, you're going to have more immediate results. You're going to have direct contact with another individual. You're going to be able to interact with them more. Marketing per se is much different in the sense that it's more one-way communication. You are providing them with your value, your service, and things like that through the form of digital or print marketing. That is going to be more one-way communication, have more long-term results. What are some examples of marketing that you've seen or you're familiar with as an agent?
Those signs you see on the telephone poles that's buy a house cash, no matter the condition or something like that.
Yes, no, it's a good example because that's going to highlight aspects of your brand. Postcards, good.
Postcards, somebody said in the chat.
Yep, direct mail campaigns.
Yep.
That is a way of doing it. How about social media?
Yeah, social media.
Good answer, Janet. Different forms of social media that we can be using include Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google Ads, things like that. Those are different ways that you can enhance your brand and showcase where your real estate skills can shine through and other ways that you can generate business. Let's see. Does anyone have any questions before we kind of get started with all of this? Cool. All right, so this set of presentation, these slides are much quicker than the other ones that I have sat through. Yes, the downloads will be available. Okay, they jump into this pretty quickly. Perfect. So as we've been very familiar with this list from the past, this is going to differentiate prospecting versus marketing, including a hybrid of both. So in marketing, if you have your participant guide out, I would turn to page 4 if you have that handy. There's a variety of marketing methods to share your message throughout. Has anybody gotten started with any of the techniques, whether it includes offline advertising, direct mail campaigns, sponsorship, content creation, things like that? Has anyone gotten started in marketing yet? Or has anyone made a business Facebook page?
Jennifer has. Yes.
Amazing. Amazing. We're getting started with that. Nice, nice. More in the chat.
Postcards.
Postcards. Awesome. Jennifer, what kind of postcards did you do? Was it for
So it was just like a regular just like with blank inside. I wrote a little note like a Happy New Year's and just enclosed my business card inside for a lot of my friends and family, like my sphere.
I had set up my social media accounts, but I haven't like made them live yet because I know there are rules about like making sure your DBA is in certain posts and whatnot. And I just didn't want to necessarily accidentally be posting things that weren't within the guidelines and find out later.
Understood. Understood. What market center are you with?
Cambridge.
Okay.
Cambridge.
Okay, perfect. A lot of the times that DBA is associated with just having the logo associated with things. Jen Hoyt, I know you talk a lot about the technicalities of things as our MCA. For our market center, for most social media posts, as long as you have the logo on things like signage or business cards, you are good to go.
Yep.
Social media posts, a lot more fluid. You're
okay, so that was my biggest fear. I'm like, is there fluidity? And then what do? I start going through other agents' social media posts. And then I'm like, but you don't necessarily work for Keller Williams. What if it's not the same? But that's awesome. Okay, so there's way more fluidity on social media.
Social media, yes. It comes a little bit different when there's the listing involved and there's things like that.
Well,
but
I knew that like if you're actively advertising a listing or a service, that we were supposed to obviously always include the DBA, but I'm like, this is just my intro. Like, do I need to put Keller Williams stamp at the bottom?
No, you're good. And then in things like designs, or I know when you're sending out like email marketing campaigns, it'll have the like legal disclosure at the bottom. And that's usually one of the few times that this comes through. So, but no, for social media posts, no, you're pretty good. I usually just put the logo on just in case, even if it's just a random post. So things like that. Good. How do you think it's best to approach prospecting?
Recording in progress.
Hello. Do you think it's better to approach several methods? I don't know what's going on. One second. Can you guys hear that? Awesome. All right. I am so sorry, guys. I think it's gone. All right. Do you think it's best to approach prospecting by doing several different methods at once? Do you think it's best to just focus on one at a time? What do you think? Going back to prospecting, which includes circle prospecting, community outreach, things like that.
I think trying a couple of different methods at once isn't a bad idea. You want to be like focused, but take a risk and branch out a little bit, but not do so much that it becomes scattered, or you know what I mean?
Agreed. You don't want to limit yourself to just one different aspect. Thank you, Kirsten. That's going to go hand in hand with marketing as well. If you're only focusing on one different avenue of getting your name out there, then that is going to limit your reach and how many consumers that you can possibly get to. For example, if you're only doing all of your marketing on the radio, you're only going to have a very slim demographic. I have heard real estate agents have different ads, even as I turn the radio on in the car going to work. It's an interesting technique. But if that was the only technique that they were doing in order to get any kind of advertising, they're not going to get any kind of communication that is visual. They're not going to have any way that people can engage. While it is in their mind and they are, maybe back then it could have been a better way to advertise yourself as a business. You don't want to limit yourself to just one different avenue of marketing applications.
Yeah, because then you won't hit all the demographics. I mean, different age groups use different things. You have to think about that. Like Lauren is in a very different place than I am in life. And some of the things that she would look at and she would see, I would not see, vice versa. So you got to think of, who your demographic is and try and reach out to as many different.
Precisely. Yeah. What types of advertising do you think is most successful when it comes to marketing?
What do you guys think? Just shout out or put in the chat just things you think. What do you think is the most successful? It's opinion. Social media cost-wise, Mark says. Door knocking.
It was a trick question. There is none. You want to be consistent. Whatever you're doing, you want to make sure that your name, your brand, your messaging is consistent between each and every different type of avenue that you're doing your marketing. If I have a presence that's on Instagram and I have a different color scheme, different messaging that I'm getting across of, I'm going to help first-time home buyers. This is my value proposition. This is my initiative. I want to make sure that if I have a sign on grocery cart, I want to make sure that that message is consistent so that if somebody looks at the grocery cart, then compares it to my social media accounts, they're going to see the comparison. They are going to see such consistency. That's going to resonate more with your consumer, and that is going to help them in the long run. Let me see. All right, we're going to jump into the content a little more. All right. First question, what we're going to do is we're going to go to page 5 in our participant guide, and we're going to be guiding you guys through some marketing questions and considerations. First question, how do you know where the customer is and how do you meet them there?
What do you think?
Could anyone be a customer?
Anyone
So,
can.
so at all times, you should just be putting it out there.
A balance. Let's see, just market everywhere. That's going to be very cost and time intensive. You got to consider that. I have no guide. Let me pull up a participant guide. Let me see.
Let me see if I'm on.
All right, Jen, I'll try to help out with that.
Here, I'll try and I'll put it in the chat. Let me just.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
I'm on 3 computers, sorry, 2 computers, and so I have to get it from here, but I'll put it in the chat, the guide.
Okay. How do you communicate your value proposition?
everybody has different ways. What do you guys do? What do you want to, how do you want to communicate your value? How are you going to reach out to people? How are you going to?
I think for me that I pride myself on organic connections, but I'm also a really extroverted person, making it easier to create organic connections. So like outside of the regular or what would be expected for marketing, I find is like I'm the person that will talk to you while you're waiting for your Starbucks coffee, whether you want me to or not. But by the end, you wanted me to, we're okay. I feel like those organic connections are probably like going to be my biggest way outside of run of the mill regular marketing that you pay for. But with that in my sphere of influence, and then like the way I influence my sphere of influence, I'm hoping that those connections will be like much more organic, and that will be my way of communicating my value, like having the opportunity to give you a glimpse and make a judgment for yourself whether or not you think I'm valuable, and then have a conversation of what I actually have to offer you as far as like what my traits are and like what I can bring to the table as far as like this transaction goes. But I think that it's super important for people to like believe you have value organically first. Like if not, it kind of seems gimmicky, like you're trying to like convince them that you're good enough.
Good, great. I love that. Especially if you're that social butterfly and you can kind of make up conversation with a brick wall, you're going to want to have things like business cards handy, even maybe wearing your name tag in the grocery store, things like that, that can kind of reinforce that you're also coming from a place of helping and working with clients. You don't want to necessarily throw that you're an agent in their face. I get what you're saying, Jennifer, in the chat. Yes, you're always going to be wearing your realtor hat. It's just depending on how much you're actually going to set that forward and use your additional resources to help out with that. So kind of going into this next question, how else can you come from contribution or connect in a meaningful way? Thank you, Jen. Especially if you're more of an introverted person.
Even the most introverted people can be very successful realtors. They just have to do it a different way. So how, if you're introverted, Lauren was just asking, can you come from controversy, connect? How can you connect? If you don't necessarily like the phone and don't want to pick up the phone and make all those calls and things like that, how can you connect with people? We've heard from the extroverted people who like to talk. What about social media?
How can you post on social media coming from contribution or connecting with your database?
I was going to say you can offer to do a market analysis on someone's house, complimentary.
You can share resources that are going to provide value, whether it is reminders coming up for different home inspection kind of things, or not home inspection, home maintenance posts. I know that the region will provide things like that. Those are different reminders that you can share with your database that they can include in their living situation, share links to articles that are relevant, and add value and information to the reader. Awesome. Great for sharing things that are local to the community that are happening. Whether it is events happening, COVID restrictions, reminders, things like that. Good. How important do you think branding and aesthetic consistency is in your marketing?
Very important, Jennifer said. Very important.
I'm not sure how important your individual marketing is versus the Keller Williams marketing is. No, I have a question about that. Like, how important is it that I say whatever my specific company is versus I work for or with Keller Williams? And I'd love to get your information about that.
Well, at Keller Williams, we encourage you to build your own brand. So that's what we're encouraging. Yes, you have the Keller Williams brand behind you, but you're really building your own business. This is your business, your brand. So your brand, I'd say, is very important. Some of the statistics while you're building your business, you don't have the stats behind you, how much sold and things like that. So there you're going to pull from the, your market center, the region, Keller Williams at large, but just, you definitely want to have your brand out there. It's you, you want to sell yourself, but your brand, your business.
Oftentimes, if you're asked, how many homes have you sold in the Foxborough area? Say you've never sold a home there, you're kind of new to the business. What you can say is my team, my market center has sold X amount of homes and we have X amount of market share in 2021. This is coming from the community of the market center that you are a part of, and that supports you. That's the beauty of being a part of such a large size of a brokerage, is that you get to be able to pull those stats, pull those numbers. Jen does that every month for our team meeting when we're going through our stats to help our agents be able to back up their conversations with numbers and support.
Thank you.
All right, getting into branding and aesthetic a little bit more. As I kind of mentioned, you want to have consistent visuals between different types of branding that you have. Things like if you have a specific logo just for your business, your headshot is part of your branding as well. You want to also include different consistent aspects between things like your Facebook, your Instagram, your business cards. You want to make sure that there is some consistency there. In order to achieve it, that includes having goals between the different social media outlets, different print visuals. If you have a specific color scheme, you want to keep that consistent throughout. You can stick with the red, you can stick with the colors that are in the identity and style guide as well. But you also do have that liberty of being able to brand yourself with our agent-centric business model. What that means is that agents or consumers do not choose their agent because of the brokers that they are assigned behind. They choose their agent based off of the agent themselves. With our agent-centric business model, you have the liberty, as long as you have the logo on things, as we kind of mentioned with the technicalities, you have that liberty to brand yourself as you so choose. That's why you'd never see two of the same necessarily KW signs, because we do have that ability to brand yourself. If you're looking at, say, a brokerage that has a really big hot air balloon as their logo, I'm not going to say who, but every single sign for them looks the same. Whereas with KW, the focus is on the agent. The focus is on themselves growing their own business. As an agent, you're a small business owner. You're not a salesman, you're a small business owner. You have this personal autonomy in order to brand yourself as long as you are following the guidelines. I'm going to attach the identity and style guide in the chat when I get a chance to, and that will include the different technicalities. But other than that, you have more liberty than it seems. I just want to give you that heads up. And then, all right, let's jump into the last question. I think this one's a no-brainer. Oh, I thought it said, should you follow up with leads generated from marketing? Obviously, yes, you should follow up with leads generated from marketing. How are we going to do that?
Our plans.
Amazing. Amazing. Yes, smart plans are fabulous. That is going to be your most systematic way of doing so, as well as if it is on social media, engaging back and forth in conversation. That is a great way to start that before jumping them onto a smart plan, just to keep the organicness of the conversation flowing, and showing off your personal touch, your value as well. But wonderful. All right, activity time. All right, question from Mark. I was going to ask that, should you make personal contact first? Give me an example, Mark. What are we doing? How did we get?
Oh, you actually answered the question as I was typing it. It was that.
Okay,
Not
perfect,
just to break
perfect.
into smart plan, but to call or text, just
Reach
that way
out.
it's not like an automated email or something, you know.
Yeah, no, especially say it's somebody you went to high school with. They comment on your Facebook post.
Yeah.
You could talk back and forth with them, maybe send them a private message on Facebook, check in, see how they're doing, where they're living. Come from a place of care, come from a place of, hey, checking in, it's been a while. How are the kids, things like that. Make personal contact whenever you can, and then streamline it afterwards. Awesome. And then Kristen, yep, call or text. I definitely encourage call if you can, text if you are already on that level of a relationship. Checking the DNC, spectacular. All right, what we are going to do now is we're going to do a tech demo in Command. I am going to get into Command myself first. I have the world's slowest computer, and we're going to get there. I'm going to stop sharing just for 1 second, just to figure this out.
I have my wired computer.
I'm good.
Yeah.
All reliable's figuring it out, so. I've got a dinosaur that makes it work somehow. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a tech demo going through the designs in Command. We're going to talk about the different template type options that we have, and different ways that you can leverage Command to best serve marketing goals. So just 1 moment. And if you do have an extra computer handy, or you can look at your other screen, I would log into Command now if you can. I opened up Command, which, as you guys know, is agent.kw.com. And what we're going to do is we're going to head over to the designs portal over here on the left. It is loading. I'm assuming you guys are also logging in at the same time, so I think that that is just fine.
Sometimes it takes a bit to get in.
I think it's my computer. I don't think it's Command.
I'll share.
You got it? All right. Do I need to give
Share.
you permission?
Yes, you do need to give me permission.
1 second. I appreciate it.
There we go. All right. So
Thank
we
you.
are go to hw.com. My screen sharing is the right one screen sharing.
It's loading. I got a white screen for now.
Okay. I don't know why. It's showing me this. I'm going to click. We're still showing the right screen. Am I showing the right screen? Let's see. It's I'm screen sharing. It's showing it here. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know. White screen. You're all seeing a white screen, right? Because I'm looking at this too, and that's what I'm seeing on my phone. And it's sharing here. Is this computer? I literally have 3 computers going. There are 2 computers and a phone trying to. All right, why is this not? Stop share. We'll again. We'll just share it again. People will be in whiteboard. I don't want whiteboard. I want command, which I just had right there. No, we're not going to do. There we go. All right. So what I did is we were in command, just in command, regular command, and I clicked on this template right here, this applet right here, designs. You see right there. If you don't know what the applets are, I'm sure they've told you this. You click on the little KW right there, and then it tells you what they're called. This one has a little paintbrush, so it's kind of obvious. Designs. So we get into designs. Just want to move everybody around so I can see it better. I'm going to minimize all of you. All right, so if you're brand new to designs, you've never gone into designs, you're not going to see anything in here. These are some of the templates that I've created that you see right now. But what you're going to want to do is, for your first design, you're just going to literally click create design. Then it will walk you through right here. It's very, very friendly. It's very easy. The different kinds of templates that we have. There are email templates, social media templates, print templates, and video templates. What kinds of things do you think they have in each of these? No ideas? Any ideas of what? Has anybody played in designs and looked at some of these things? There's all kinds of graphics and flyers and listing brochures. And, some people used to in the old days call these things beauty sheets. All of those things that you can pull up, print things you can have at your open house, or media ads you can just use to send out to wherever, either an ad via an ad or just regular social media. So I don't have the guide up right now, Lauren, so I'm just going.
Let's make a post together. Let's go to social.
Social. And so you click
And
social.
then continue.
And then it's going to take you in. This is where it sometimes takes time. This is what I thought Lauren was having problems with, but
No, this is the fun part. All right, so the left side of your screen is going to be where all of the different subcategories are. You are able to import information straight from your MLS listing if this is relevant to a property. But otherwise, there are other ways that you can engage using command that don't involve a listing or a buyer. Let's hop over to business basics. Something that I like to get people started with is going through email signature. This is something that I have on my email signature and people say it looks nice and glossed up. The first one is awesome because it'll actually become a transparent image. So it looks great, especially if you're on an email. So if you do want to use a design, what you would do is you'd hover over the image, click the use button. And this is a great design that I would use for you guys to get started. What you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to drag and drop images from the left side of your screen. That image there, that's probably the image that Jen has set up in her My KW account as her headshot. Just clicking the replace image button, that's going to replace it right there. Then what you would do is you would hover over the additional text that you would have and replace it with your specified information.
You see right here that it's, my name is bigger than the box, so you can just take it and you can,
Drag it.
or you can decrease the size of the font if I wanted to do that. I could also take this right here, highlight my name and change the 16 or get the T right up there. You change the font size. So either or.
Now, Jen, what if we wanted to change the logo? What would we do now?
Okay, the logo, you can click on the logo right there. If you have your logo automatically uploaded, you can pull it in. You can literally just hit replace right there. I do not have my logo in here. You can click logos. I have my logo right there.
And then replace it. And that is what our Market Center logo is. So then at that point, we would just enter in our phone number, office number. I would do the Market Center address that you have. You can have them go to your home address. I would send them to the Market Center address, your email, your website, and then the link to your mobile app.
Yep. You don't want checks sent to your address. You want the checks to come into the Market Center. So, but put our phone number. Now put the office's phone number. It says here office phone number. I strongly urge you to just put your phone number, because otherwise your office is going to get phone calls and they're not going to know what they're talking about. Just saying.
And then your director of first impressions is going to do a great job getting it back to you though. But
they will definitely
perfect.
send it. If something comes in for you, your Market Center definitely make sure you get it, but it just sometimes takes.
Perfect. Awesome. Say this is good to go and we're ready to go. Jen, can we rename this design?
Design. Well, you can download the design right here.
You can rename it first if you go over to the where it says O2_KW_email up a little bit. There it is. You
Rename.
can rename the design here. Yes, I can go over how to import photos in Command.
Oh, I was just thinking that. That's where I was.
Jen's signature. Perfect. So then when you download it, this is what the image will save as.
And you just download it right there.
Perfect.
Download.
It'll let you choose if you want a PNG, a JPEG, things like that. Quality size, relevant to whatever type of image that you're doing.
Totally lost. Okay, Mark.
All right, let's jump into how to upload an image into Command. Let's start with that. Jen, can you go over to the image tab?
Right there.
And then click the add button.
And then wherever you have your picture, you can just, grab it from your computer, just click drag and drop. And you can go into your computer. I don't know what pictures I have in here. Here, I can have my baby son when he was a baby. He's 15 now, but.
Perfect. And then you can add the image right there.
If I wanted, I could hit that and hit replace, and there's Devin when he was.
Perfect. Perfect. Let me see. Mark, where can I help you?
Where did we get lost? Which step? Screen looks nothing like.
I have no idea where you guys are on in Command.
You're in Command.
I'm in Command, and then I hit the design.
Okay,
I hit
and then
design.
you have to hit add new design or add. What was the?
So the email, social, print, or video.
Yep. So we clicked on social. Or did we? Yep, we clicked on social. And then to take you. What's the next?
Still looks nothing like that.
Go back. Page. So once you go into designs, it kind of kicks you out, just so you are aware. It kicks you out of command. You have to go back in, but so here we click on create design, we click on social, click on continue. And then once we were here, we hovered over, we went to the left, business basic, and then email signatures.
All right, I got it now.
Then we clicked on signature we wanted to use. You click on use.
All right. I got it. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Anyone else?
I've got a friend in MCTT that's also about to hop on the call as well and be a resource. So they will also be able to help out with any questions that we have. Awesome. Jen, can you hop out and show what an email design looks like?
An email. Let's just go back to home. We're not going to save this now. Template. Is it going to let me go from here? Do I have to go all the way back out?
I think you got to go all the way back out.
But we're just going to keep going back and forth.
If you click the done button, that'll bring you back, I think.
Yeah.
Same thing.
And I always have 50,000 tabs open. Designs. Create design. And email. Continue. Here are all kinds of newsletters that you can use that are right here. You just have to literally edit them and change what you'd want. Or you can, if you want, start from a blank one. I'd suggest starting with these till you're comfortable, and then you can do your own. There are so many templates and things out here. Same with the smart plans. Always start with what we have, and then build. Once you're more comfortable, but to get started, just go into one of these. So say you want to use this modern newsletter B, just click on it, hit next. And
These are perfect to use for smart plans. So if you've looked in the smart plans and you've been able to see the use of doing a simple email versus a design email, these are the type of design emails that you are able to import right into a smart plan. What you can do is say this is a newsletter of updating market updates in the past quarter or so. What you can do is you can add in different stats, different things like that, images. You can include your information towards the bottom. And then different hyperlinks if you want to add them as well.
It's all editable. Everything's editable. You pick and choose what you want to use. You decide you want one of these sections, you can delete the whole section, or you can add other sections. You can add any of these little blocks in, text blocks or images or buttons or the button.
Hey, Lauren, this is Sam Alpern. I just signed on. I was connected to jump on for today.
Hi, Sam. Hello, how are you?
I'm good. So I don't know exactly how you want me to approach it. Do you want me to lead today's session? I saw you listed as the co-host. So am I just jumping in and supporting? How do you want me to go about it?
Yeah, so far we are just jumping through designs at the moment. Jen Hoyt is actually my market center administrator as well, so she's been helping me out a bit. But yes, whatever kind of support and kind of questions, I think that would benefit most.
Sounds good.
Perfect. Let me see. All right, Jen, do you want to hop out of this and then we can go back to the presentation?
Perfect. Can you share the presentation or
Yes, I'll share screen. I can
You
go back.
that would work?
Yes, let me just get back to this. Perfect. Sam, how long have you been in MCTT?
I am not an MCTT. I'm the Director of Productivity for our Market Center. I'm actually throwing in the chat right now a little bit of background on me, but since I'm speaking, I'll speak it instead.
Even
So
better,
I've been
thank
with
you.
Keller Williams and in the industry for about 4.5 years now. I'm Director of Productivity. I help lead our Coach to Cap program and oversee our launch program, which is for our newly licensed agents, a couple of which I see on the call right now. I also am a rainmaker for a team. Our team did, I believe, about 57 units last year, just about $20 million in volume. A group of 5 of us with myself and Rhonda Messenborg, who I'm sure other people on this call have seen in the past. We are business partners. Both of us are not in production. That way we can empower our agents and really be able to focus day to day on our market center roles.
Awesome, thank you so much. I'm sorry, my computer is loading.
Want me to pull it up?
I'm trying to get back to the presentation. It's thinking. And it's not responding.
We'll go. Where's the Zoom? So many things, too many tabs open.
I've got it on my phone. I can pull it up here. Okay.
You sure?
No. All right. I know the next activity that we're going to do is we're going to walk through a design. Even better. Thank you, Jen. I'm so sorry. This is.
I have 8,000 tabs open. One of them is this presentation. It's not that one. It's this one. Sure. That's not what I wanted to do. But I don't want to send a link. Okay. We were on right here, different designs.
Thank you. Yes, my computer's just.
So these are just some of the different designs that you that we kind of do a couple of them, but these are just examples. You put the picture, we'll pull it right from MLS if you have it. And
Awesome. Can you go back to slide 10 for me, please? Can you go to slide 10 for me, please? So what's the goal of this marketing piece?
Advertising an open house, maybe.
Perfect. Very nice. How would you improve this piece if you had any editing
I feel
power?
like the information that they put on this is too small. Like
I
the
agree.
pieces that you need are way too small. Cool, I'm invited. I'm invited to what exactly, as I stare at the screen as close as I can possibly get? Open house at 306. I think it says Allendale Drive,
Maybe.
Stafford, Connecticut.
And you show up in the wrong town, maybe the wrong state, because you couldn't even read it that well. Exactly.
Also, like I can't make out their realty group. Like it's not clear enough. There you didn't really. It's a really pretty house, is what I got from this. That's all.
It's beautiful. Yeah, we don't know what the outside of the house looks like, but the living
Yeah.
room's lovely. Yeah. Good point. I would switch out the words you're invited for open house, because you can't even see actually what's going on.
And in today's society, I feel like people we're so fast moving. We're so used to instant gratification that this isn't 20 years ago. People aren't going to blow it up and be like, but what does it say? They're just going to scroll right past it.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Let me see. Any other way that you would improve this further? We would change out you're invited for open house. I would add a date for the open house. I know this is an example, but I would have the actual like January 12th, 2022. Just explicitly.
Might have changed the color too.
Yeah. Change the color of the font.
It's just too Yeah, it's just, it blends into like it's too, the whole picture is too busy because they chose an inside picture and
Mhm.
the bricks 3 different colors. It's getting lost.
And put the text on like a transparent background, so you can see the house behind it, maybe.
I'd put a more generic picture of a house. This is, that stained glass on the side is really distracting. And it's really specific to a certain style. And I feel like it would turn some people off.
I would probably do the outside of the house. I think that that would get better recognition, especially if that is what they're seeing on an MLS listing. If that's what they're seeing as they drive by, then they know they're going into the right house. If it's a rental and this is the only option that we have, say it's an apartment or something like that, then this is okay. I would probably add another photo that just showcases where the actual listing is.
Yes, stemming off of that, I think having a photo of the front of the house would be very beneficial. Now, some homes definitely don't have the greatest curb appeal, but I definitely agree with Lauren's sentiment that you want people to know that they're at the right location. That doesn't mean you only show the front of the house. If this is one of the most appealing pieces of the home, you want to showcase first and foremost what is going to capture everybody's attention. But you know, if this is a social media post, being able to swipe to get to some other photos that will include the front of the home. If this is a postcard, being able to maybe have the front of the home on the back of the postcard. That way you're leading with what is most engaging, and you're still leading people in the right direction that they know where they're really supposed to be. I don't know if someone may have already mentioned this, but regardless, I know we spoke about having some things, the font may be a different color, being able to have the font larger to be able to read, so you're not having to zoom in for it. I'd say the same thing for the photo of the team. One of the big things about having listings and about hosting open houses is being able to not just market the property, but also be able to market yourself and your business. So I don't even know what these people look like if I'm looking at this photo right now. So really being able to show, if you're going to have yourself on there at all, showcase yourself. Don't have it be that you have to squint, zoom by about 100 and need the newest iPhone to be able to see anything on that photo.
And say you're interested in this property, how are you going to get in touch with them? Very difficult to even make out if the text that is underneath their group title is their email, is their phone. Essentially, that is the call to action, especially when you have a listing, is you want to make yourself as easily accessible for people to get in contact with you like that. So
Good.
okay. Thanks. Jen, can you head to the next slide for us? We're going to do this activity again. What do you guys think is the purpose of this piece of marketing? You take a minute or two.
Is this supposed to be like a neighborhood analysis of some sorts? I believe.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, they're highlighting the average listing price, the average sold price, total active listings, total pending, price per square foot. What do we think the intended audience is? Or who do we think the intended audience is for this piece of marketing?
People who live in that area or close to it.
Along with
Yep,
people
that
that
area.
are, along with people that are interested in moving into that area, monitoring that market, wanting to get in the neighborhood.
How would you improve this piece of marketing?
I would move the Heartlink Homes logo off the picture. It just looks really weird. I don't have a technical term for it.
Well, I think it looks like everything was hodgepodge together, that they had the clean areas that they just layered on top of one another. Like, let's look at where the KW logo is on the bottom right. They very easily could have put Heartlink directly next to it. And then instead of having this big white circle in the middle of the post, it would have looked transparent on the background and very clean as the KW logo does on the bottom right. That's something that was on the other one as well, that the KW logo had the transparent background, and that everything about the open house and about the team then had this gray background that almost made it look like you were cutting into the photo and you didn't really get the full picture. So being able to, I know I visually really prefer clean lines, which I think a lot of this has, except for that circle with the team logo. Now, the good thing is that you can actually read that, unlike the other one. So, you know, it's in my opinion, better placement than the other one was. However, you know, it could have been much cleaner, especially because this looks like, you know, a high-end neighborhood. It's got a tennis court, a couple of homes with pools, very large homes in general. So although it's saying average price in this area, average sold price is about 323. This may then be a, you know, if we're trying to look at this neighborhood specifically based on the information in front of us, this very well could be a location that the average price point is maybe in the low to mid 100s, because these are all the luxury homes then for that area. So being able to showcase the whole thing, I think would, you know, be much more enticing visually and capture more attention.
There was a note in the chat about how they wrote NA for average days on market. I agree. I think especially in this market, houses are going quickly. And if people are looking to list their home and they want to see that they can get an offer on their home quickly, that's something that you definitely want to highlight, whether it's for better or for worse.
So Lauren, question for the group. If we're looking at this and let's say for whatever reason, the information is not available, then what could we do? Or not applicable, whichever way you want to use NA in that scenario. If we don't know the average days on market.
If this was me personally, I would change.
I'm going to ask the group first.
Okay. Okay.
Let's have, and if nobody answers, anyone that was on Ignite, I believe it was last Thursday, I'm not afraid to call on people. And I would start with my market center, of course. So I see someone in my market center has unmuted. I'd love if one of you guys could answer.
Coastal agents know better. Yeah.
I would just get rid of that section, just to have the total active and pending and the average price per square foot. Don't even have days on market even there.
Yeah, and Michelle says in the chat, put another category. I would definitely remove it and ideally put another category or change the setup of how this is looking to make sure that, you know, it doesn't look like it's no longer cohesive. So either having just two of them or three stacked on top of one another, or if you want to keep the four in its current grid, then just being able to put a different category in there that you do know the answer for. So maybe it's sold in the last 30 days. Or, you know, whatever it needs to be, average price per square foot, maybe it's the average square footage of the properties. Or the average percentage. We see average listing price, average sold price, then what's the percentage of those, of the list price to the sales price? Days on market is a great one, but in any case, if you don't have the information, put something that you do have the information for.
Well, it's missing a phone number and there's no face of a representative to call. If I'm looking at this and get all excited because now I want to list my house, who do I call? I don't know.
Exactly what.
So that, you know, similar to that last post, being able to showcase the information and have some call to action. So, you know, things are heating up in Gem Heights. Reach out for more information. Here's my phone number, DM, click the link, whatever it might be, but having some call to action here.
Perfect.
Where would you use this piece?
Farming a neighborhood, or a certain neighborhood that you're trying to.
Okay, so you're farming a neighborhood, and then how would you use it then for the people in that neighborhood? Like how are you getting this in front of people?
Just mailing it to them.
You can mail it, absolutely. This could be in the form of a postcard or a one-page flyer. Door
emailing it to
knocking, yep,
people.
you can leave it for them.
I should say emailing it to your, I don't know, not your sphere, but maybe people who are expressed interest in this area or the area that
Absolutely.
you're in.
You can email it to the people within your database that fit this location, whether it be that they're looking to purchase in this area or that they currently live in the area themselves.
It almost looks more like it's advertised for people to sell, almost more than people to buy, to me.
I can see that. I also see that, well, especially because there's such little active, there's only 4 active and 26 pending. So that means that, you know, the inventory is extremely low. I also see something pretty glaring here. We're looking at a $40,000 average list price to average sales price. And if we're looking at today's market, that's a pretty big drop off. I think it's clearly a seller's market with such little active and so much pending. It's saying to me that the listings are overpriced. So maybe all 4 of those active ones have been sitting on the market for a while. Or that the agents that are currently working in that area aren't doing a great job of setting expectations. Now, they still are getting properties under contract, so give them credit for that. But that's a big drop, over 10% drop from the list price to the sales price with only 4 active listings. So it's either, again, that those 4 are all overpriced or that the agents there could do a little bit better. And that means that there's an opportunity for you to be able to gain some market share by being the professional and the expert in that area.
Maybe that's why they didn't know average days on market. Staying in the market for so long.
Could be, absolutely. Where else could we use this? There's one more area that hasn't been mentioned yet. To be able to get this in front of people.
Social media. Post it on.
Absolutely. Yep. So social media, you could use this for, I would first look at Facebook. You could use this if you're doing an Instagram video or a YouTube video that you're speaking about this location. And then you can have this, you know, just like right now, myself, Jen, Lauren, we're all speaking and leading a conversation, and we have a graphic in front of you. You can do those same type of things as you're giving market updates for certain areas. And now people are seeing you on their feed and they've never spoken to you, but you boosted a post or you did command campaigns or you know, you happen to friend request them, but you guys don't really personally know each other yet, or someone that you do know shared it on their feed, whatever it might be. And now, you know, 3 years later, they happen to walk into an open house that you're hosting and they feel like they know you already because they've gotten to understand how you operate. They've listened to you. They've seen photos of you and your family and they know what your dog looks like. And all of a sudden, you know, they walk up to you like, Mark, hey, you know, this is Sam. And Mark's like, who the hell is Sam? But, you know, Mark's like, oh, yeah, great to see you. How's everything going? It's great. We're actually, you know, thinking about buying a house. I'm glad we ran into you today. Would you be able to help us out? Because they've bought into you already through you being in front of them. So absolutely recognize that social media is a way that you can get this in front of people as well.
Perfect. All right. How would you change the title? I don't know if things are really heating up in Gem Heights.
And if it is heating up, then I think we have to look at different information. Maybe instead of the average listing price, maybe that average sold price is 10% more than it was last year. So we could look at something like the appreciation year over year. Say that homes are up 10% since this time in 2021, since January of 2021. That would showcase how it's heating up. Now, another thing that I look at is I'd probably have things are heating up right above the picture. And then that allows me to use HeartLink Homes and bring that down below.
Mm-hmm. And you would have your
also
contact
then have
information.
space to add my contact information. So that way there's not just because the Heartland Homes is a smaller logo in comparison to this this header. We can have though that the white space is then filled with contact information.
Perfect. All right, Jen, if you want to hop to the next slide, we got one more marketing piece we're going to look at. Perfect. Take a few seconds to look through this, and we will discuss the purpose of this marketing piece. Mark, you're right, though. He says the Heartland Homes logo is probably covering the crappy house in the block. All right, what is the purpose of this marketing piece?
Depending on what should have a price on it, if it's pending.
Well, you can't say, at least in Rhode Island, you can't say what it's selling for. So you can say, you know, the just listeds have that they were listed at 115 and 15,000. You could say listed at X
Yeah,
amount.
yeah. Just
But
not-
you
but it's
can't
under
say the number
contract
that it's
for.
under contract for.
Yeah, yeah, I get that.
I would assume that the list, that the point of this would be to let us know, sorry, I'm looking for the DBA, let us know what Signature Partners has to offer right now. Like, I'm assuming these are like exclusive listings or something of that nature, I think.
Why do you assume that? What makes you say that?
Because there's no information about anything except for Armstrong, like Armstrong and Co is the team. Okay, so that's all you have is the team name, and then like 3 properties, 2 that are just listed, 1 that's pending. They don't seem to have anything really in common. I guess 2 of them are in Wichita. But like they're different types of houses. One's land, a lot. So to me, it would just be like an available property to post, like, hey, this is what we have right now. If you're interested in any of the above, and like this is also kind of what we're selling.
Yeah, so this doesn't speak to me that this is not on MLS and that it's a pocket listing or an exclusive listing, if you mean that by the exclusive right to sell, absolutely. I would just want to make sure that everyone understands the difference between a pocket listing, which National Association of Realtors doesn't allow anymore, and an exclusive listing. So
I mean, an exclusive listing, like it just as in like the right to sell.
Yeah, so then who is this for? What's the point of Armstrong & Co. putting this in front of people? Why are they doing this marketing?
To stay relevant, for relevancy, like
Absolutely.
just to like keep themselves,
that they're in the business, definitely.
Yeah.
So this is different than that last one, which was very clearly about a specific neighborhood. And to your point, you know, we have 2 in Wichita and 1 in Bentley. Now it's possible that Wichita and Bentley have that they're right on the border of one another, and that the neighborhood that they're sending this to all happens to be the same neighborhood, even if it's 2 different towns. That's definitely possible, but that's making a lot of assumptions there. So if we're just looking at it more of a blanket piece of marketing material, being relevant, who are we looking to stay relevant for?
They're trying to do investors, because the pending house looks in way better condition than the house, the first house for 115, and then there's the vacant land for 15. So they're trying to say, oh, this is the house where you could get for 115, but then also you could just buy the land if they're looking for contractors or something to build.
I think that would be if contractors are a big part of their audience, then that could be something. I wouldn't jump to that conclusion myself, though. I personally look at this as showing the activity that Armstrong & Co. is doing right now. These are the 2 listings that they've put up this week. Then they also put South Holyoke under contract as well, whether they have the buyer or the seller. So staying relevant, absolutely. But who are they looking to stay relevant to?
People interested in today's market, those who are buying, those who are selling, just anybody who could use their group to do business. Like, I think that the reason why that there are so many variables and that it's not necessarily in sync as far as like I said, the types of houses and then like different towns as well as like different property types has to do with them trying to reach such a broad audience and wanting like basically anybody who has real estate business to do know that like we do it in all situations.
So this would then be staying relevant to their database. Part of that, you know, this could be something that is sent in a weekly, bi-weekly, monthly email that they send to their database, and this could just be a snippet of that email. This is also something that could be put on social media to just stay in front of their audience on social media, because it's not targeting a specific location. Now, if it is targeting a specific location, that Bentley and Wichita border one another and that this is all actually the same neighborhood, then that also could be farming. But it's more likely that they're just keeping this in front of their audience, using this as a way, to your point, to stay relevant and showcase that we are in the business day to day. We're actively working when a lot of people are saying that they, you know, it's really tough to come by opportunities in business. This is what we're doing. We're very actively involved right now. Now, it also puts opportunities in front of people that, you know, if someone is interested, they could reach out. If someone is interested in East Rose Lane, they definitely could reach out to that group because they've now seen this post. But again, no call to action on this one. This looks a lot more like just being able to showcase the business that you're currently working on.
How would you improve this piece further? I know the chat's been talking about the title of It's All in the Details. With no details.
The pictures that they use are kind of awful. The first one, they show like this really crappy lawn in the front. They should cover that up. And they're saying they're all in details and they have terrible photos. The tree on the far right is a terrible looking tree. And the land looks like it's like a fire hazard. I mean, those are just my comments.
So if you got this in the mail, how would you perceive this as a postcard? Say you didn't know the agent, they were farming, and you get this. What do you do with it? Reality, you probably throw it out.
Yeah, this is one of those pieces that 99% of people are throwing out if they're receiving it as a mailer. And, you know, if you're having this be one of many different things that you're doing, that you're consistently mailing to that group of people, well, now this is, again, just a way to stay top of mind and showcase that you're doing some business. But I would definitely agree if we're speaking about it's all in the details, you know, and maybe that is the tagline of this group. It doesn't show any details of these properties. So, you know, Mark brought up, maybe they're looking for investors and builders. It's all in the details. All of the flips and new builds that we do are very detail oriented, and it doesn't show a single part of the inside of these homes. You know, the one that is pending on the right, maybe that was a flip that they listed, and that's why it looks a lot better. But again, it's not showing the details if the details are there. Right now, it's all in the details doesn't mean anything to anybody. And that this marketing material doesn't mean all too much to people. So what I would look at personally, if this is a mailer, I'd want to be able to have this be less about the photos and more about other information than that you can put on that postcard. You still would have all of the same photos, but we can format this a little bit differently to be able to have a lot more information on there. And then if this is not a post, then I would look at being able to break these out more individually. I'm sorry, if this is not a postcard, break these out more individually to use on things like social media. That way, as people are scrolling through their feed or looking at their stories, they're able to see that you just listed these two properties, you put this other one under contract. That's going to have the same level of awareness and probably actually better than if you just threw this as one post. If you're able to hit them multiple times, I think that's going to be more advantageous for your business. Instead of them just seeing one post of a just listed, and a pending, they get 3 separate posts. Or ideally for me, I would look at this as stories, 3 separate stories that they're seeing throughout the day. I see one post, I think that this person only did one piece of business. I see 3 posts, and then I see that these listings go pending, and I see 2 more posts for that, and Holyoke sells, and then the other 2 sell. Now we have like 9 different posts that we were able to do instead of just doing one.
And even just between the 2 listed properties, there's a lot of different information that you can use to describe both. As Michelle mentioned, details the size of the land, especially for the vacant lot. It's $15,000 worth of land. How big is it? Like, what are we getting for our money versus the property that is already ready to go in Wichita? It's right, like, very different types of information and very different touch points that you can do with your database. Good point. Michelle's from My Market Center. You can call on her. Awesome. I think there's a lot of white space in this as well. Obviously, it's a mailer. If we are assuming for this, I would make the whole thing bigger as well. If you had to use this design, there's just a lot of empty space that you could be using to provide more value. Yeah. All right. Jen, do you want to hop over to the next screen? Thank you. I think it's activity time.
There we go. Your turn.
Awesome. So we have time to create your own design pieces in Command. I know we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier with the email signature, but go back to page 4 in your participant guide. And what we're going to do is we're going to pick one item off the list of marketing methods, whether it is a postcard, a market update, community event. You want to get back to the email signature. What we're going to do is we're going to have time to work on your project. So head on over to Command, which is agent.kw.com. This is also a friendly reminder to make sure your marketing profile is also set up in Command. That's going to make sure that your headshot and your other credentials will auto-populate. All right. I think what we can do is how about we take a couple minutes break and give you guys time to work on this as well. It's 10:27 now. Do we want to reconvene at 10:40? Perfect. All right. 10:40. That's when we'll be back. All right. Enjoy the break. Jen, you're screen sharing. Perfect. All right, well, let's bring it back here. Let me see if I can get it up on my screen. Let me just check this. Perfect. Review how to import a design into a smart plan. Let me just get to this. Where's that just? Sorry, I just lost a chat. All right. How was the break / making a design?
Did anyone do it?
I tried to do it and completely failed.
Right. I'm sure you learned what not to do through that though, so it would be better for next time. What makes you say that you completely failed?
I just went to designs and I tried to do a newsletter and I just didn't know how to do any of it. I'm just totally new to me, so.
Did anyone else try? Also, I know I came in late, so this might have been said in the beginning. We have 26 people here right now, and by my count, there's only one person out of the student side that is off camera. So if you are available to come off camera, we would really appreciate that. If you're not available because you are at another job or you're listening in or driving, then definitely keep your camera off. If you are able to, though, it's going to make it for everybody much more engaging. So thank you for those of you that have already turned it back on.
I have been working on a social media post, and it's about the KW app, and it's kind of the plan your next move without moving an inch template. So I'm having fun with it. I'm just having a hard time. You know, the front is fine. It's the back with all the text and introducing the app, and I wasn't sure if there was any kind of preset language. Do you know what I mean? To introduce the app.
So I think something that you mentioned is very important for everyone to pick up on here. Janet, you mentioned having fun with it. And I think you need to keep that at the heart of what you're doing. You don't want to feel robotic. You want to be able to make things really feel, look, and sound like you, and stay authentic to who you are as a person as you're really ramping up your business. So, you know, I would keep that in mind as you're coming up with some of this language. Now, when you're asking this question, are you speaking in regards to a caption or the language that is being shown on the post part itself?
It's the language on the postcard. It's the language that, you know, everyone will be reading, saying, hey, you know, come try my app, blah, blah, blah. I'm really stuck on how to start.
So I think the message, or let me rephrase this. What do you believe the message to be? What is the reason for you posting this in general?
Well, because I want to get people's attention, and not necessarily my sphere, but you know, broadly on social media. And you know, I guess a lot of people do use social media. They relax with it at night. A lot of people I know. And so this is a way to kind of maybe look for your new home without having to really do anything. And it's convenient for you. It's convenient for me. You know, does that make any sense?
Yeah. So what's the value for them?
Well, they have They will have the kind of broad Keller Williams resources. They will have me, which I guess is really, if you're outside of my sphere, how do you promote yourself?
So I think a big piece of value is that it's you in general. And let's first start with your sphere.
Hmm.
Or people that you have spoken to and you're starting to build a relationship with, even if it's just one conversation. When they use Realtor.com's app or they use the Zillow app, they get just about all of the same features through Keller Williams Consumers app. So they don't lose anything on either of the sides in terms of the user interface and the information that they're able to get a hold of. What they don't get when they use one of those other apps is you. When they use one of, and especially let's look at Sphere to start with. When they're looking at another app, they have questions about it. They can't ask you directly through that. They'd have to go the extra step of reaching out to Janet and saying, hey, Janet, I have a question about 123 Main Street, which we know as agents, no matter how long or short you've been in the business, they're going to just click the button on the Zillow app. They're just going to click a button. They're going to ask the agent that is listed there that's paying advertising dollars, whether that person is any good, whether that person, has their best interests at heart, knows the area, doesn't matter. They're going to just get connected with one of those three agents that's advertising with them.
Mm-hmm.
And then they will be able to get their question answered in most situations. When they download your app, they don't lose anything in terms of the resources provided. They don't lose anything in terms of the search capability that they would have had on Realtor or Zillow's apps. They do, though, get you. So they have a question and they submit an inquiry about 123 Main Street. It goes directly to Janet.
Mm.
And if Liza is the one who sends them the app, it goes to Liza. It's to whoever is the person that is their contact. Everything gets to stay with that individual. Obviously, that's powerful for us, that they're not clicking some button, speaking to some random agent, and everything is staying in front of us. But we don't communicate it that this really helps my business. We're able to communicate this on how much easier it makes the process for you. You ever have a question, you're able to reach out to me. And it's not just in Rhode Island for me. It's not just wherever anyone is here on this call right now throughout the New England region. You can look at properties in New York, in California, in Texas, doesn't matter. They have access to everything just like they would have on the others. However, they still are able to reach out directly to you.
So it's like a direct pipeline, a direct service, and they kind of skip that middleman.
So I think that's what you want to be able to communicate then through this post. So when you're sending the link directly to somebody in your network, or if you have an email that's going out that is having, download here, you'd be able to explain it right there. But what we're speaking about in your scenario is that this is a social media post that you're putting out there. So you want to be able to just quickly, in just a few words, be able to explain why this matters to them.
Okay.
And have it be authentic to you. You don't need some fancy script, because quite frankly, the best script in the world is not going to really get you any better results. It's just going to take you a lot more time to figure out. You just want to be able to communicate that they're able to, reach out directly to you. They get information throughout the country, anything they need. This can be their new search portal.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And then I would say anyone that you're now starting to build a better relationship with and you're working with as a buyer, they start looking through your app. You're also able to communicate that they're able to favorite properties. They're able to tell you about different areas they're now interested in. They're able to communicate with you directly through there. So you're able to monitor it on your end, not making it like you're spying on them and looking at every property they're looking at, but that you're able to stay in the loop. Without us having to actually speak to one another, you can just send me a ping and I'm able to have an update and we're able to change your search as needed. So that's just going to cultivate a better experience for you.
Great. Thank you. Makes more sense now.
And when I say cultivate a better experience for you, I mean for the client. Obviously does for us as agents, but I mean for the consumer.
Yeah. Okay.
I have a question. I hope you can answer.
Absolutely.
So I was on a group page and answered a comment for someone, and you're not supposed to advertise on this page. But could I, and someone else even reached out to me. Is it okay to direct message them?
Yes,
Um,
absolutely. Yeah,
thank-
100%. So
Okay.
what we've been speaking about in regards to marketing so far, a lot of it can be utilized on multiple platforms, including social media. I look at that as a form of leverage. I don't look at posting my app and discussing why my app can be beneficial. I don't look at that as, for me personally, I don't look at that as a form of lead generation. That's very passive, and over time it might lead to some people. But I look at lead generation through social media as that you can prospect through social media. So in the beginning of this session, it's brought up prospecting versus marketing. Just posting is marketing. It's waiting for people to reach out to you. And I look at that more as leverage because it allows you to stay in front of a broad audience, stay relevant, to the point of one of the agents earlier, stay top of mind for people without you having to reach out to each of them individually every day or every week. So then being able to prospect through social media is what is another avenue for you to start building up your database and relationships. And I think that's a great idea, because if someone's posting something that you're commenting about, there's some need that they have of why they're posting. And now you're able to help be a problem solver for them and a resource for them.
I guess being new, I don't want to make any mistakes. And you obviously can't check if you direct message them that they're not on the do not call list.
I don't personally view, and take this up with your broker. I don't personally view social media as something that is along the lines of the do not call list.
Okay. And would you have to start with, are you already working with a realtor? No.
I wouldn't. I would just be helping to solve their problem. And then, just as I would be qualifying anybody else, start learning about their wants and needs. And through that conversation, learning being able to communicate how I can help them, and figuring out, are they working with somebody? If they are, have they signed with them? If they're working with somebody and have not signed, figure out, do they actually like working with that individual? And if they don't, then, now I'm able to work with them instead.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Great question.
All right, we're gonna get into a tech demo with Campaigns in Command. Ooh, sorry. What we're gonna do is we're gonna head over to Command. I'm just gonna reload this. It'll get there. And if you guys could follow along as well, open up Command and get to the campaign section yourself as well.
While this is loading, I just want to bring up one thing as we're on the topic of marketing and social media. So I was on a training, I believe it was about 10 days ago now. It was with Jeff Glover, who is an agent a Keller Williams agent out of Detroit. And he was discussing some of the different skill sets that top producers should really emphasize in 2022. And one of the things, I don't remember if this was exactly one of the skills, but it is still one of the things that he had brought up in the conversation, was to really focus on Facebook in regards to social media platforms. The reason for that is because the largest demographic on Facebook right now is people that are aged 35 to 55. The largest demographic of home sellers throughout the country is aged 35 to 55. And the MREA teaches us leads, listings, and leverage, that we start with sellers, and then that can help spur the rest of our business. So being able to focus on Facebook specifically, that doesn't mean don't do the other platforms. It means make sure that you have any of the content you're putting together, you're really having Facebook in mind as the core of what you're looking to build in regards to sellers. Now, in regards to a buyer, that's where Instagram can be very beneficial, or TikTok or Snapchat. But for sellers specifically, It just happens to be 35 to 55, largest demographic on Facebook, while also the largest demographic of home sellers. So really work on being able to meet people at where they are. And that's why social media can be such a big opportunity for us.
And that includes your personal Facebook and a business Facebook as well. So having the leverage between the two, sharing different posts that are coming from your professional page onto your personal page, adding a little bit of insight, that is a great way in order to stay top of mind and engaging with people that you are friends with. Awesome. So where I am now is I'm in the campaign section of Command. Over here on the left-hand side, it looks like the megaphone here. When you are doing a campaign in Command, there are different ways that you can go about this. You can do a paid ad, an email ad, direct mail campaign, or a social post campaign. These are going to be up here at the top of the screen. If you want to do a social post campaign, you'll be able to see all of the information here. I'm going to come up here to the top right corner and create a campaign. It will help you walk through it based off of the type of paid campaign that you are looking to do, whether it's a social ad, a Google search ad, a different kind of social media post, a direct mail, a farming campaign, or email. I'm going to click social. What will happen next is you'll be able to name the campaign and then choose the goal. Say we have a listing, you'll be able to advertise a listing that you have. If you have an event such as an open house or a first-time homebuyer workshop, then you could create something like an event awareness campaign. This will just help you organize this in a better fashion. Let's say what kind of campaign, Sam, should we do as an example?
I would do the attract buyers campaign. That's really my go-to one. The other ones certainly work. They at least in my opinion don't have the same efficiency in terms of cost per lead and being able to maximize your ROI.
Perfect.
I'm
going to title
going
this.
to be stepping out for about 30 seconds for a quick call, and then I'll be right back on.
You're good. We're going to walk through this. So thank you. All right. I'm going to click the attract buyer function, and then we'll be able to choose the platform in which our campaign is going to run, whether it's going to be Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. So we were just talking about how more of the younger demographics are going to be those that are coming from maybe the Instagram, the Twitter. Let's click Instagram as the sample. What we're going to do is we're going to create a campaign. It's going to bring us over to this page here. First, it's just going to confirm that our logo is accurate, just because this will be added as the extra. And then you will be able to add in information here as well. If we're attracting buyers, we don't have a listing necessarily that we are going to connect to this post. If we did, and we had a listing that we wanted to, say, an open house connect this to, we would be able to connect it here through the MLS. Now, what you'll be able to do is on the left side of your screen, you'll be able to enter in the information. The right side of the screen is going to show you a sample of what the ad is going to look like. So over here, text, whatever your value proposition, whatever you're going to say, it's going to show up here. So let's say if we're attracting buyers, looking to get out of renting. This is a test. This is not, this is not good. This is not, my brain is not functioning yet today in terms of being creative, but whatever text here, whatever your text is going to be, it's going to show up here. For this Instagram post, the function is going to have the image up here, your username there, and then the caption here. You can have up to 2,200 characters, and then you'll be able to save. Going through the next stage, we're going to add media. With this, it's either going to be an image or it's going to be a video. What you can do is you can include whatever you have been making in designs and include that right here in this campaign. Say I have an image and I made it in designs, whether I choose it from a listing or click this add image button here. What I can do is I can upload it from my computer or browse the designs library. They will give you tips, especially for Instagram. I think square size images are best, and they will discuss the size and pixels that are best. High resolution images that are greater than 600 pixels on the long edge work best for social posts and ads. JPEG or PNG format, maximum size is 3 kilobytes. Images with little or no overlay text to ensure ad delivery. What I'm going to do is I'm going to browse my designs library. And it's going to, it should take me to a preview of what my designs look like. These are some designs that I have been working on. In my role, I'm not necessarily working with buyers, as I am part of the leadership group here. But let's see, let's find something that works. We're gonna get creative. All right.
Thanks for homes.
So yeah, yeah. Do we have to connect the ads manager for whatever social media we are creating for? When I want spectacular. Thank you, Sam. All right, we're just going to use this as a sample just to show you what it looks like when it auto populates. You're going to understand that this is a test image. Please do not do this as an actual ad. All right, it should be loading here. Perfect. Image is selected. We see how large it is here. We're going to preview and crop. I would already have gone into my designs at this point and created something that was specific for this ad campaign, but since we're not there, this is going to be the next best thing. So far on the right hand side, this is a sample. We have our caption down here, image up here. I have the option of adding in the logo here, whether it's on the left side of the screen or the right side. I actually already have the logo on this image. So I would just click that button there. Then we get down to the Instagram settings where we can configure. I will have this run through my, let me see. I don't have an Instagram business account just because I don't as an agent. But what I would do is I would make sure that it is showing up on that account. We do have our Keller Williams Elite Instagram. Oh, so it is set up. Good. Good.
Yep.
I did it.
Because you've done this before.
I do. I don't do campaigns through it. I do that heavy lifting. What I will do is I'll be able to choose if I want this as a feed or as a story. Feed options, I prefer the square settings. Story options, you'll have the 9:16 setting. You'll be able to decide the shape of your image in the design portal. Once the test image is here, caption is here, you'll want to decide destination, whether it is a lead generation form or it is coming back to a site or a landing page. So this, it will collect the leads that are acquired from there. Say we want to bring it to our website or a landing page, this is when I would click this button, and this is what the ad would bring me to instead. We're going to click this form just as the sample. When it says button label, it'll give you options like learn more, contact me, or learn more, sign up, apply now. That is going to be, doesn't show it here.
I think it's when they click.
I was gonna say, when you click on it, when you highlight over it, that will be the call to action when you are on the image. For this setting here, when we are attracting a buyer, learn more makes sense. And then you'll be able to add in your website URL or choose a landing page as well if they do click on it. In terms of audience, I'm located in Plainville, Massachusetts. I can choose the radius. I can go into greater detail if I want to use custom settings. Here I'll have the option to either target my database or target an audience based off of geographical parameters that are set. So I've seen agents in our office just because I'll see them through my database as well. If they're targeting specific people that they are already in contact with as a sphere of influence, another way to show up. Or if you are looking to expand your database, targeting a custom audience is going to attract new leads. You'll be able to choose the radius and save. Oh. As a sample. Wonderful. And then I'm going to go back to lead settings. So what happens to leads that come in from this campaign? This is what we were discussing earlier about staying in contact with these leads, and that is going to be through smart plans. What's also going to be able to happen is they can auto tag the contact as a contact within your command. So what you could do is you can add in a custom auto tag that you can have. Say it is, let's say, I would make a tag that says potential buyer, and I would make that as a tag in the contact. And then I could add them to a smart plan of possibly a, I don't know what we do. We could do a neighborhood nurture. We could do a 8x8 contact, something like that. Assign them to a smart plan. Mine look different just because that is the nature of my role.
In regards to these tags and smart plans, just for everyone recognize, it depends on what type of campaign you're running.
Mhm.
So if I'm doing an attract buyers campaign, then I want to have some smart plan that is going to be built around me reaching out to someone to provide more information about a specific property they're inquiring on, or to just learn more about what they're looking for whenever it may be that they're going to purchase something in the future. If I'm doing something on Instagram and I am promoting a first-time home buyer seminar, then I want my smart plan to be built a little bit differently. And I want my script that I'm going to use when I'm reaching out to that person to be a little bit different. It's going to be about getting them to that event rather than calling them and saying, hey, what'd you like about 123 Main Street? So recognize it will change a little bit. If I'm marketing to my database, again, it's going to be a different smart plan.
Mhm.
So this is something that you need to be fluid with.
Perfect. And last but not least, you're going to be able to change the duration and the budget of this campaign. For example, if it's something like an event, you want to make sure that the ad is running before the event starts to make sure you get maximum reach, maximum engagement. Say we have an event January 25th. We don't want this ad still running January 29th. And then you'll be able to choose your campaign
Thank you.
budget here, and then the daily per channel cost that this will be. You'll then be able to save. And then you can go ahead and publish.
Or if you want to go back, save it.
And then if you want to go back, save it. Always save no matter what. Just to make sure your work is not lost. That was not the best example in the world. I apologize. But does that make sense? Mark, you know where to find it from here?
Yeah, I knew where to find it. I followed you. I just couldn't, I don't have any of my ads, whatever, set up. So I couldn't, the ads managers, so I couldn't go into any of the paid ads. So just
You gotta
set
have
up.
your social media set with, connected.
I have like my Twitter and everything regularly connected to in command, but just not the ads manager part of it.
Okay, yep. For that, you're going to go to settings, command settings, and then applications, just to make sure all of your social media is ready to go. Perfect. All
Yeah.
right.
I've been trying while you were doing that.
Okay. Good, good. All right, I'm gonna go back to here.
When it comes to doing the attract buyers campaign, attract buyers campaigns, and I would say most campaigns that are not about an event or signing up for a newsletter, or just remarketing to your database. If you're looking to bring new people in to your world, what I would recommend everyone starts with is the attract buyers piece and doing it exclusively through Facebook, not having it go on Instagram. I also would have that you're marketing a listing, not just a photo, something that they can click on and get to a link for a property. And the last thing, or last two things I would recommend, number one, I would do the lead form. I would not have they go to a landing page or to the website first and then have to put in their information. Now, to be fully transparent, if they were to do that, it is a so much higher quality lead. But I'm not looking to have the best lead in the world. I'm looking to grow my database and start building relationships with a large amount of people when I'm doing command campaigns, for me personally and for my team. So what I would do is the lead form. That then means instead of them getting to the property and submitting an inquiry, they are submitting their information before they can even look at the listing. So that is going to allow me to get a lot more people's information. And I should expect a closing ratio, conversion ratio on those. Out of 100, I should probably be in the 3 to 4% range. If you're really intentional about it, you can probably get closer to 5 or 6, but you should at least be in the 3 to 4% range is what I would look at. That means that you're going to have out of 100 contacts, 100 leads that come to you, 95 of them, nothing's going to happen with. Another 4 or 5, you're going to have something happen over the course of, let's say, the next year. It's not going to be people that are looking to buy a house tomorrow in most situations. It does happen. And another reason why I say the attract buyers instead of attract sellers is because the cost per lead is a lot lower, which then means you get a lot more for your money. And many of them, again, let's look at the age demographics on Facebook. Largest percentage is 35 to 55. So although I'm doing an attract buyers campaign, a lot of those people might be a seller as well. So attract buyers, market a listing, do the lead form. The last piece of advice that I would have on this is that I don't target a specific demographic. I allow Facebook and Command to do the targeting for me because that's what keeps my cost per lead low. If you allow, because think about it, Command has 200,000 people that could be tapping into this. Keller Williams International is going to have a lot better targeting, and Facebook is going to have a lot better targeting than I would. I'm not, quite frankly, the expert in that. I don't care to become the expert in it because I'm better off just being able to have it optimized through the system. And then my cost per lead should be less than $2.50. It'll probably be more in the $1 to $2 range. I've had campaigns that I did a $15 ad spend and got 25 leads in a 5-day period. So you don't have to do a ton to get a lot of leads. Just remember that you're going to have, let's say, a 4% conversion ratio overall. So you will need a good amount of leads to be able to get to closings. But if it's $2 a lead and I get 100 leads, that means I had $200 ad spend and I stayed in touch with people over the course of, let's say, the next 6 to 12 months. And I had 4 closings come from it for $200 and some phone calls I would have been making anyway. And in my market, that's going to be close to around $40,000 worth of commissions for a $200 ad spend. So plenty of opportunity there.
Thank you. All right. Have you guys been in the campaign section as we were going through this? Or do we want to take time to make a social post and or paid ad?
Let's have everybody take 5 minutes. It's 11:14. Let's go until 11:20. But with the intent that everybody is at least starting to create a draft. You don't have to publish anything right now.
Yeah.
Just play around with it a little bit. Like Janet mentioned earlier, have fun with it. Just learn the system, fall on your face if you need to. You're not publishing anything. You're not having to call somebody in 10 minutes. Just play around with it for the next 5 minutes and we'll be back on at 11:20. Anyone that has questions as they're doing it, feel free to throw them in the chat and we can help you guys out.
Perfect. All right, we'll see you guys in 5.
Create campaign.
Any questions so far from those of you that have started testing it out a little bit?
Sam, I actually have a question.
Yep.
So when you go into attract a buyer campaign, when it says at the top, add a listing, if we don't have any of our own current listings, what are the rules around sharing someone else's listing? Like, what are those rules?
Great question. Awesome question. So definitely bring this up with your local market center because I don't want to speak for other states. However, I do believe throughout the country that we are allowed to market other agents and other brokerages listings as long as we are giving credit to that brokerage and agent. We have the permission to do that, to my knowledge, through IDX, which is Internet Data Exchange. That is how we all on our websites have each other's listings. That's how, for example, Zillow has every listing from all the different brokerages in all the different states through Internet Data Exchange. So as long as you're giving credit to that agent and to that brokerage, you are allowed to. Now, to my thought process, that technically means I don't have to ask for permission. I do think it is a good best practice, common courtesy, to reach out to that agent and get permission. And then what you can do, and this is something I was taught by my coach in the past, is just create a running list of all those people that have given you permission to market their listings. So now I know every time that Stacy puts up a new listing, well, she's already given me permission to market them in the past, so I'm going to market this one. And I would first start with my agents in my office. However, you can also go to agents and other brokerages as well. There will be some agents that say we're not allowed to do that. To my knowledge, they are wrong. There will be some agents that say, well, my broker said I shouldn't let you do it. And my thought process is that they're extremely short-sighted, if that's the case. Because when I'm asking Stacy if I can market her listing, what I'm really asking is, hey, Stacy, can I get you more exposure for your property, for your seller, without you having to do a damn thing? And if it happens to bring me in a buyer that's interested, awesome. And if it brings me a buyer that buys another property, that's fine too. I helped you get more exposure for your client, which is something that every agent should be open to, in my opinion. Just like with anything else, though, there will be some people that if you're asking, they're going to say no, and you're not focused on the no's, you're just getting to the people that say yes.
Yeah, there will be, I can attest to that. As the MCA, I get the phone calls from the brokerages when people do just go out and advertise. Please ask permission first. Because some people are, like you said, I disagree with it, but they do get upset.
And that's why I'd start with your local market center as well. Go to the
even
top
in your
producers.
market center, you might have some. I know of the 2 agents in my market center here that will not allow people to do that. The rest will, though. So if you reach out to most of them, they will. Just a couple of them won't.
So I guess my second question then, if we're not going to take the route of adding a listing to attract a buyer's campaign, what's another good strategy to market to attract buyers if you're not going to add a listing?
I think the most cost effective is that one if we're speaking specifically about command campaigns. I'm going to answer your question, but before I forget, I want to bring up one other thing.
Sure.
Even if I had listings, that doesn't mean I'm only marketing my listings, because my listings might not be my ideal neighborhoods and my ideal price points. And that's one of the things that we can do through command campaigns. You can pick, if I want to work in, I'll use Rhode Island for an example. Let's say Newport in the 400 to 600 price point. Well, then I would market those type of listings, and those are the type of buyer leads I should be expecting then. I'm not going to be expecting someone that wants a $2 million waterfront property. So, it helps me really focus on the group that I connect the best with, and being able to build my database of, like-minded individuals that are looking in certain areas and a certain price point. Rhode Island is pretty small, but if I'm having to chase people all throughout the state, it can get tiring pretty quickly. So I'm better off focusing on my ideal locations when I'm doing new prospecting based activities as much as possible. Now, in regards to other ideas for if you're not marketing a listing, I'll say this, whether or not you're using command campaigns, something I'm just thinking of in the moment is being able to educate people on the home buying process, being able to educate people that maybe already own a home on how to move up to their next property or to downsize and what that process looks like. being able to keep people up to date on the market and not just putting numbers in front of them, but really being able to explain what that means. And quite frankly, a lot of newer agents, maybe they don't even know what that really means yet. However, they're able to practice that script with another top producer. And then over time, they really start to internalize those different phrases that they're utilizing. So I would really just be looking at being able to put information in front of people that educates them on the home buying process.
Okay, and what is the difference, or what would be the benefit of going through command and campaigns as opposed to going through Facebook and boosting?
Awesome question. So let's say we were doing, I'm just going to use the example of marketing a listing. When Stacy goes on to Stacy Gallagher business page, Stacy Gallagher, Keller Williams Realty, is using her business page to market on Facebook and promote a listing. That is only used, Facebook is only looking at Stacy in terms of preference and the amount of volume of business that you bring to Facebook from advertising dollars. When you do it through command campaigns, Facebook is looking at 200,000 agents throughout the country and beyond that are marketing with Facebook through Keller Williams, which means that our cost per lead is a lot less. We're able to get better rates essentially for advertising dollars because of our power in numbers.
Okay.
So the simple answer is that it's going to cost you a lot less to reach a lot more people.
And then last question, what do you think is an appropriate budget amount? Like what's the, like, you know, I just did a boost on Facebook the other day and I did, you know, $1 for 3 days. What's like the ideal amount of time that you should run it for and like the most cost effective budget for that campaign?
I'll use the way I look at it personally. I like to do 5 days, $15 budget, Monday through Friday. Either that or 10 days, $30 budget. And I don't really care which day I'm starting and ending at that point because I know I'm going to hit a weekend regardless. The reason why I in my perfect world would be Monday to Friday is because that's when either myself or the agents on my team that are receiving these leads are going to be working, and speed to lead is critical. So if we get a lead Saturday at 6:30 at night, I don't know if the agent's going to get to it right away. I don't feel as confident as I would if it was Tuesday at 11:30 a.m. And I think the $15 gives you enough opportunity. If I'm doing $3 of ad spend total in that campaign, well, even if I have a really good cost per lead of, let's say, you know, $2, I only got one lead. I didn't have the opportunity for the second one on average. So, you know, I think being able to give yourself enough of an opportunity, if I'm doing $15 and it's costing me $2 a lead, I'm getting about 7 of them. I would say it also is going to correlate with what each of your individual goals are. So, and then in general, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent in the budget model has that you should be spending about, I believe it's somewhere between 9 and 11% of your overall revenue should be budgeted towards lead generation. And that's not all something like command campaigns, that's lead generation in general.
Mm.
But I would just have that as part of your budget then. You know, for every $1,000 I bring in, let's say 100 of it is going to go towards future lead generation and growth of my business.
Great, I'll start using the campaign instead of the boosting then. But to your point earlier is I ran one on Facebook and I ran one on Instagram, and you were mentioning about how Facebook is 35 to 55. And it's interesting because my posts on Facebook, the age range was like 45 plus. And then on Instagram, my age range was 18 to 24. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was just, I did it kind of like as a trial, but it was a really interesting little campaign to run to see that difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, when I was bringing that up from that training with Jeff Glover, another thing that he mentioned is that when you're creating content, so he wasn't speaking specifically about command campaigns, but when you're putting content out there in general, specifically video content, he said, don't, like, let's say you're going live on Facebook, Don't say, hey, Facebook, it's Sam Alpern with Keller Williams. Be able to just leave out the hey Facebook part. Because now what I can do is after that video, I can download it and I can repurpose it for other platforms. So that Facebook video can now also go on Instagram and also go on LinkedIn and Twitter and wherever else I would like it to go. But I would say Stacy recognized that, and I hope everybody else recognizes what Stacy just mentioned as well. Her core group of viewers were 45 plus on Facebook, and then 18 to 24 on Instagram. That doesn't mean don't do Instagram. It means have a different type of purpose. When I'm doing Instagram, I'd probably be looking at, I'm not trying to get any real business through Instagram for the next 5 years. But it is part of my 5 to 10 year timeline, because now those 24-year-olds are in their late 20s. They're getting married, they're having kids. They're moving out of their little 2-bedroom condo and they want to purchase a home. Or if they purchased early in their 20s, which some of them do, then maybe they're moving up to a colonial in their late 20s, early 30s. And you then would have a 5-year head start in being able to really capture their attention and stay in front of them. Like I mentioned earlier, you'd be like a celebrity for them at that point, if you're keeping up to date with them. At the same time, we can't wait 5 years to do any business. So being able to focus on where the people are right now is going to allow you the most opportunity today and in the near future, while having on the back burner that you're repurposing this content and you're still putting it out there on the platforms that are going to lead to future opportunities, and then meet those people where they are or where they will be at that time.
Thank you.
Kirsten put in the chat, someone suggested creating a separate business Facebook page and sharing posts to your personal Facebook. For Instagram, should we create a separate business account as well? I'd say that's a personal decision. I do have 2 separate ones on both. My Instagram one is very specific to a certain type of brand that I'm putting out there. So if I wasn't doing that, then I wouldn't have a separate Instagram. I would just keep the one Instagram. Facebook, I think it's great, especially in regards to something like command campaigns, because you can't do command campaigns through your personal account. You can only do it through your business page. So what I would say, Kirsten and everybody else, is do what you will commit to and stay consistent with. If having 2 different Instagrams means that you are not building 2 different audiences and you're just putting the same content out twice, or that you are no longer posting on one of them that you had a following with, I don't know if that's necessarily the best idea. And don't create a Instagram business page just to do it to say you have it and now feel guilty for the next 6 months when you don't do all too much with it. So do what you will be able to commit to. I think it's a great idea as long as you actually take action on it.
Thank you.
Kirsten's from my market center as well. You can call her out too.
What other questions do you guys have? Either questions or something that you learned today that you want to take action on immediately? You guys had to have learned something. One aha from today. One thing, no matter how big or small. Jennifer is saying definitely the campaigns. Jennifer, I would love to see you starting to put those into action. And it doesn't need to be a big budget. You have $50 a month. You can expect somewhere between 25 and 50 leads. That's a tremendous amount of opportunity over the course of the year. People are paying $50 for a set of business cards. So, doing that for command campaigns and actually getting people into your database can be very powerful. What else?
Do you have thoughts about the benefits of creating a professional page versus a personal page in Facebook?
So Facebook, especially if you're going to do command campaigns, you will actually need one. You can't do command campaigns without.
Okay.
If you are not going to do that, And you don't necessarily need a separate page. I would say make sure that if you are going to start putting business things out there on your personal page, you're staying true to who you are. Because you have a certain following on there and a group of friends on there that know you prior to your real estate life. And now you want to introduce real estate to them and how you can benefit them there. That doesn't mean that you now just spam them with all things real estate. In either setting, whether it be your personal or your business page, it should be pretty fluid. That's showing who you are as a person, and that real estate is just a part of your person. It's just one of the many things that make up who you are. So I would probably recommend it in any case, even if you're not going to do command campaigns right now, because in the future you may change your mind on that. You might decide to every once in a while. And it also will give you an avenue that if you want to be a little bit more aggressive on the business content you're putting out there, now you can share it to, I believe it was Kirsten's point of being able to share it from your personal page as well.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Sam, I have actually one more quick question.
Absolutely.
So just for an example of what I posted on Facebook and I boosted, from that I got, it reached, 553 people and it got 16 link clicks. How do I take that information and actually use that to lead generate? Because unless they're contacting me from that post directly, how do I engage with those clicks?
Yeah,
How do I know?
I'm going to pull up my command real quick
Okay.
and share my screen to show you guys something. Because I think I know what's going on there, but I want to make sure that I show you from my end so I don't make any false assumptions. All right, so here we are. This is my personal account. So I haven't used this one much in the last year or so, since my team has been developing and I'm using my team account now. But let's look at these campaigns that I've done in the past. And I'm going to show you a very specific one. It's these two, 336 Switch Road on the bottom. And you'll notice, actually, there's three of them here. So you'll notice that the overall outcomes look a little bit different. So Stacy, are you seeing that you had clicks and not leads?
So I used the boost on Facebook. I did not go through campaigns, so it's
so
not the
let's look
same.
at this. Let's look at this very bottom one that breaks down Instagram and Facebook first. You'll notice that I had the total $15 ad spend. Collectively, it was $1.13 per click. I had 40 clicks total. Cost per impression, it shows the total amount of impressions, but then this number here, 239, is the cost per mil. That's 1,000 impressions, $2.39. That's great. That is not costing me very much money at all. The issue is that I had 0 leads come from it. So I put it in front of people. It helped me market a listing a little bit. It didn't actually help me get people that could be interested in this property or other ones.
Right.
So now let's look at the top two right above it. Both of these also $15 each. And let's look at the one that is February 10th to February 15th. This is the best campaign that I've run. $15 brought me 25 leads, cost me 60 cents per lead. Those 25 people that I was able to call on and say, hey, I noticed that you had clicked on our ad for 336 Switch Road, want to check in. Do you have any questions? Most of them say no, I'm not interested in the property. Great, just curious how's everything going for you? Are you looking at buying something in the future? Don't just jump off the phone because they said they're not interested in it. You need to learn a lot more about what they're looking to do long-term, because this is not a relationship just for today. This is for the next 30 years for my business. So for this one, my cost per mil, $10.71. That's 5 times as much my cost per mil on the other one. However, I got 25 leads instead of 0 for the same ad spend. So for you right now, Stacy, you are probably getting a better cost per mil. You're getting clicks on there, you're not getting actual leads because there is no lead form currently. There's no way for them to submit an inquiry or to just, almost like have to register before being able to look further into the listing that you're marketing. So that's one of the simple fixes that Command Campaigns is going to afford for you.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Jennifer also added in the chat that the design section, being able to utilize that to make social media posts and staying consistent. Consistency would also then be with her brand, being able to have similar designs that she's putting out there and stay cohesive on her timelines, and also being able to help add value to your followers. Absolutely. What I would also say is you don't only have to use what's in designs and have to recreate different things yourself. Every Monday from 2 to 2:30 is the regional growth call. And Jen, along with the rest of the regional team, actually put social media posts right in front of you that you can download and start implementing in your business. You literally can plug and play it if you don't yet want to dive into doing more social media and getting more creative with it. Or it's just a supplemental piece that you can do even if you are wanting to get more creative with social media. It's one extra thing and one less thing for you to have to think about.
I'm gonna throw the link in the chat.
Thank you.
I believe it's that.
So we have another 19 minutes. I'm going to open this up to questions that you guys have in general. It can be about marketing specifically, or it can be about anything else in the real estate sales business. I'm happy to help with.
So I have a question about the, like, say, the business Facebook page. Does that has to have somewhere on it Keller Williams logo, correct? Or no?
You would want Keller Williams in the name. Sam Alpern, Keller Williams Coastal would be the name of the page. And then in the photo, I'd probably put the KW logo in there. I would speak with your market center leadership to find out if you do need it on every photo.
You
I
don't. Kirsten, you're
believe
good.
that we do.
And I forgot my other question. Oh,
All right.
never
As
mind.
you remember, throw it in the chat or just shout it out.
Sure.
Any other questions?
I have a question, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have been tasked with coming up with a monthly newsletter by my husband's coach. I'm a team with my husband, but I'm a brand new agent. He's been in for 5 or 6 years. And I was thinking about having it involve the volunteer activities that we're doing, which happen to be a lot about gardening and community involvement with plantings and stuff. But I'm wondering if that's the best use of that time, the limited time that we have with our audience. And I just wondered if you had any suggestions about what to do for content in general.
So I think that is a great piece of content to have in there. I probably wouldn't build the whole thing around it. I would also recognize that these other things that you're putting out in social media and different mailers and whatnot, you can repurpose to have in your email, your monthly email as well. I would say that if there are any major things happening within the market, be able to highlight those probably first and foremost about your local market. So, in general, last week, let's say I was doing an email last week, the rates went up about 0.5 point. So that's something I'd really be focusing on and discussing what that actually means for buyers and sellers.
Okay.
But then just like with our business pages, we want to make it about us as people as well. Have them get to know us because they're working with us, the person, not just the business person. They're working with us as a human and as a friend in many situations. So I think being able to showcase how you are helping to support the community is an awesome idea. And then if
So
you
maybe-
decide to, you can also add any of the, maybe a story about one of your sales that happened, being able to have the photo of the clients with the sold sign in front of the house and a quick little paragraph about what they were looking to accomplish and their experience. Maybe it's that your two buyers, John and Stu, they were outbid in 3 different properties and, all upset the whole time. And then, something just came out of nowhere that was the perfect property. They made sure they put their best foot forward. They had, a couple of things came up in inspections, but they powered through it. Nothing that was earth shattering. Just being able to tell a little bit about the experience for other people to learn from and to feel themselves as well.
Great, thank you.
Kirsten is asking, is it better to map out a complete marketing plan for the year, work month by month, or be spontaneous? And I think we probably have a little bit of a mix of all of those. What I would say is instead of looking yearly, I'd probably look at the next quarter. And that's going to be based off of where you see your social media, where you see your marketing in general, not just social media, but marketing in general a year from now, and how this next quarter you can start getting yourself on track for that. What are the foundational pieces to start putting into place? If farming is the foundation for me, then I would start with farming. I wouldn't worry about doing any sort of other marketing right now for quarter one. I'd want to just get that system down first. And then spontaneous is going to be things that come up just in general. You're out to dinner and you have a beautiful meal in front of you that you want to throw on your story. Absolutely, go for it. But there will be certain things that you can pre-schedule. Maybe you're doing holiday cards as a form of your marketing. That's something then will be part of Q4 for this year. But I would break it down to what you want to accomplish this quarter based on where you see your marketing a year from now, based on also your financial goals for your business and your budget. And then I would break that down to this next month. And maybe this next month, try to plan some things, especially for someone that isn't already very well versed with marketing and that this is going to be a new thing for their business. You don't want it to start consuming you. And you also don't want to start feeling guilty if you're not doing it to the level that you had wanted to. So starting small with it, and also time blocking, that I'm doing my marketing calendar for February. I'm going to put that together, let's say this Friday. And from 1 to 3 o'clock, that's all I'm doing. Because in 2 hours, I'm absolutely going to be able to get through all the ideas, and I'll probably be able to get some of the content together as well. And now I have those foundational pieces for February. I don't have to think about it anymore. You can even schedule posts on social media through Command. And then if it's marketing that isn't Command, you can do some automation there as well. And also just planning in general will be very helpful. The Ignite classes that anybody misses, or if you ever want to go back and watch again, the Keller Williams New England regional YouTube page. So if you
grab it.
Type it. So Lauren's going to put that in the chat right now. If anyone loses that link, then just in the search bar of YouTube, type in Keller Williams New England. And you'll be able to get to the YouTube page for the region. All of the Ignite sessions and many of the past ones from months prior are there as well.
This is the Keller Williams New England page in general. And then I'm going to head over to playlists and I'm going to snag the January 2022. So you'll have both.
One more piece of advice that I'd like to provide for everyone is that everything you hear and learn about works, and you want to focus on a lot of those foundational pieces. That doesn't mean that because social media can be a huge piece for someone's business and maybe the primary resource beyond someone's sphere in them growing their database and business, that doesn't mean that it has to be for you. So there will be some foundational strategies to use. You'll still want to use social media to some capacity. That doesn't mean that you have to invest 10% of your time, 15, 20% of your time into it. So for me personally, social media this year is one of the things that probably in Q2 is going to be a larger focus for our team. Q1, though, we have other things that we're prioritizing. One of the main ways that we're getting business right now is through calling expired listings, the new ones and the old ones from months back, withdrawn listings, terminated listings. That way, anyone that's maybe looking at doing something in April, they're already in our pipeline and we already have them locked in. We have a listing that we just signed for March 1st. We just signed it yesterday. So although a YouTube page that we're going around the community could help us and interviewing local business owners and whatnot and highlighting different beaches and everything, although that works, that doesn't mean it has to be a focus for my business. That works for some people really well. And those people are probably not calling those expired listings. They're choosing a different path for them. So everything works, just about nothing doesn't work. It's just a matter of what you're willing to stay consistent with and put the effort into. And then you have to stay consistent with it over time. Don't look for results in the next 20 days, the next 30 days. You know, a lot of these things you're going to be looking for results in 12 plus months from now, especially on the marketing side. So Lauren just put the January playlist for Ignite into the chat. I would bookmark that for any of you guys. That way you can always go back and watch things a second time. The way you receive the information the second time around is going to be a lot different. I can't tell you guys how many times I've watched Friends from beginning to end. And I'm still surprised when I learned something in the show. I'm like, can you believe that shirt that they had on? Like, how did they not blur that out? Whatever it might be. Or this person was in the show for 30 seconds. Saw Billy Crystal in it the other day, like him and Robin Williams. Like, you don't notice those things always the first time around. And if you do, you forget it because you're focusing on something else. So being able to go back through this or any, podcasts you guys listens to, any scripts that you read, go back a second time. You're going to be able to receive the information a lot differently. All right, 8 more minutes. Any other questions you guys have? Whether it be for me, Lauren, Jen, anything we can help you with. Is anyone here doing more than one transaction a month? All right, so if you're not at that point yet, I'd imagine there's some questions that you guys haven't asked yet. Last year, we did 55 sales, 20 million in volume. The year before that, before I took my leadership role, my team did over 40 million in volume, over 100 transactions. My day-to-day had to shift a little bit. I rebuilt my team. So last year wasn't as strong, but I'm on these calls like once a month or once every other month, I should say, because I usually only teach one session. There's got to be something you want to ask myself, Lauren, Jen, something you're curious about our business, about what you could do in your business, about a conversation you had with your cousin the other day. There's got to be something there. If not, we'll wrap up, but I'll give you guys a chance. Yeah.
I remember you on the call the other day and you said that in your first year, if I got this correct, you moved from New York to Rhode Island. So that first year, straight out of the gate, you didn't really have a ton of contacts. So you said you did a lot of cold calls that first year. And I think you did 24 transactions or something.
Yep.
Which is awesome. So would you recommend doing cold calls, or in this day and age, what would be the most effective way to prospect?
All right. So in regards to sellers, I'll give you a couple of ways outside of your sphere. And again, everything works, nothing doesn't. It's a matter of what you're willing to stay consistent with. For sellers, I would look at expired listings or withdrawn listings. You can use those terms interchangeably. For sale by owners, those would be for me personally, those would be my first two I'd be looking at. Number 3, circle prospecting. Number 4, door knocking.
Okay.
And for a newer agent, I'm also mentioning things that are prospecting based, not marketing based. The reason for that is because, again, marketing is going to take a lot longer and also take a lot more money.
Right.
A lot of us don't necessarily have $3,000 a month to start putting into an advertising budget. However, we do have however many hours each week to be able to reach out to people. So those would be the 4 that I would look at personally.
Okay.
for sellers specifically. For buyers, I would look at open houses and internet leads. Internet leads, my primary focus would really be command campaigns doing Facebook ads for buyers. The reason I mentioned those 6 different things is because they're all incredibly inexpensive, if they have any cost at all. It doesn't cost me a penny to call it for sale by owner or to host an open house. It costs me a little bit of money, at least the way that I do it, to get the data for expired listings. For circle prospecting, door knocking doesn't cost me any money. Internet leads, like I mentioned, you're at most, if you're doing it through command campaigns and doing attract buyers, you probably on the higher end should be on average about $2.50 a lead. So if there's any cost at all, it's pretty minimal.
When you say
And all-
circle prospecting, do you mean like targeting a certain?
Yep, absolutely. So circle prospecting and door knocking are basically the same thing. One of them is happening over the phone. One of them is happening with my hand in person.
Okay.
So I'm either
So I
knocking
just
on the
wanna
door or I'm
ask-
dialing the door. What was that, Ariel?
I just want to ask you to, okay, so like those examples that you just gave are amazing. And I've done a lot of research in the past 2 years. And those are like where a lot of people tell you to start. I guess my question that you could answer, because I finally have somebody to answer it in person instead of watching people's YouTube videos, is where do you get the data though for FSBOs and expireds? Because it's like, yeah, I've heard that a million times, but it's like, where do you collect that data? How do you know who had a property that was expired or who had a property that's for sale by owner at the moment?
All right, so let's do this. I'll show you how to get the for sale by owner data.
Okay, I'll take it. Thank you.
And I'm going to tell you the other ones also. I'm going to give you all of those. And I'll also break down those sources a little bit more the last couple minutes here. If I do FSBO RI, the second link is Zillow. There's 54 for sale by owners in Rhode Island right now. If I do FSBO CT, Zillow 198 for sale by owners in Connecticut right now. NH, New Hampshire. This is how I'm able to get their information, and their phone number is listed there. Zillow 97 in New Hampshire right now. And that's only on Zillow. However, that's 97 people that you can call this week that most agents know exist and choose not to call on. So that information is free. It just takes me a little bit of time to gather it and effort to actually pick up the phone. For expired listings, I believe you can get the data through something like White Pages for free. I also look at maximizing my time efficiency. So what I would recommend is either Vulcan 7 or RedX. Both of those just put .com at the end. I believe you get to their websites. Vulcan is more expensive. From what I've seen in Rhode Island specifically, it does have stronger data than RedX has. However, I've heard of RedX having better data in other areas. So what I would probably recommend is anyone that is looking at starting expired calls or circle prospecting to start with RedX and see if you're willing to commit to it. And I don't mean sign a contract with them. I would say just do the month to month. I think for the expired listing data, it's something like $80 a month. Circle prospecting, it's only $40 a month. So it's incredibly inexpensive considering how many people you can call on. And see if you're willing to commit to doing the calls. If you would, and you're finding that maybe the data isn't as strong as you would like, which nobody's data is perfect, but maybe then at that point you try out Vulcan, which is going to be closer to $300 a month. I also personally get my for sale by owner data through them just so I don't have to go searching Zillow, and I just get notified every day when there's a new for sale by owner on Zillow, and it gives me their contact information. So it saves me a step, which for $40 a month helps me maximize my time. But you don't need to do that.
You're confirming that even at this point in your career, you still look at FSBOs and you still contact those people.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's just good to know. It's good to know that this isn't, I don't want to call it like newbie prospecting, but like something that people choose to like abandon once they get farther in their career.
Right. And then what happens with a lot of those people is they start to hit a plateau because they didn't focus on the things that brought them the most amount of business with the least amount of energy. So if you want to be able to continue to scale, you need to bring more people into your world. And, you know,
Exactly, yeah.
when I mention these 6 different sources, some of them are face-to-face, like door knocking and open houses. And the other ones are really phone-based. For me, I will tell you guys, again, everything works, nothing doesn't, but you have to choose what's going to work for you and what you're willing to commit to. I will not door knock. I absolutely won't door knock. However, this phone does not weigh 1,000 pounds for me. And quite frankly, do I love cold calling? No. I think you got to be a little bit of a psycho if you really love it. But it works for some people. I just know that I'm willing to commit to it and that I have the skill set for it. I'm sure I can adapt the skill set for door knocking as well. It just doesn't match me as much. Or at least the way that I would be looking at approaching it doesn't match me. And I'll give you a quick example on that. When I was growing up, when someone would knock on the door, my mom would hide. She'd tell us to turn off the TV and she would make us whisper. She'd literally like be crawling on the floor. And I'm like, Mom, what are you doing? We're in our house. Shh, they're gonna hear you. So, that's my experience with somebody that's door knocking. And that then made me like, I don't want to be the person then that's going to do that. However, shifting my perspective a little bit, I had one of our other agents in our market center, maybe about 2 months ago, tell me a different way to approach door knocking. What she recommends is that you drive house to house rather than walking the neighborhood. You drive to the house, you leave your car door open with your car running. You go knock on the door, because now it's not that I'm walking around the neighborhood. I pulled in your driveway real quick. I have a piece of information that I was going to leave in the door. And if you happen to be home, I'll tell you about it instead. But the person, when they open the door, they see my car running and they're not looking at me like I'm going to keep them for 30 minutes right now and try to get them to sign up for donating to cleaner energy sources or buy their chocolate bars or whatever it might be. The things that made my mom hide. Because if she opened the door, she was wrapped in, she was doing whatever they asked. You need my diamond ring? Yeah, fine, take it, just get out of here. So, being able to figure out what you're willing to commit to is really important. I just look at those 6 different sources as so inexpensive and also allow you to reach so many people so quickly.
Are you allowed to leave information in their door? You can't leave it in the mailbox. Right?
Yeah, I would leave it in their mailbox personally. You also can have, I don't think I have one on me, but I've seen door hangers that you literally can put around the doorknob.
Okay. Are you allowed, because I thought on the call the other day, they said that you can't leave anything in the mailbox.
I would ask your local leadership and broker. I don't want to.
Legally, you're not allowed to in Massachusetts, at least still. I don't think anybody, in fact, it's a federal law. I believe mailboxes.
Okay, but doorknob, yay. We could do that.
I would speak with your local people on that.
Okay.
So for somebody, let's look at some other sources and we'll jump off in the next 2 minutes here. I appreciate you guys staying on. I'm not the person that's going to walk up to your door. I'm also not the person that if we're sitting in a bar, I'm going to just start speaking to people. Or if I'm at a networking event, that I'm just going to go up to a group in a circle and introduce myself. That's not who I am. That doesn't mean I can't be successful in real estate. It means I need to focus on what's going to work best for me. And for me, it had been on the phone. So if somebody else is not wanting to call expired listings, also doesn't mean they can't be successful, doesn't mean they can't do a lot of business in their first couple of years. It means they need to figure out what works best for them and commit to it. So that opposite person, maybe they are more going to networking events, being out throughout the community, their kids' soccer games, being able to speak to the other parents and see how everything is going for them. Figuring out what ways are going to work best for you and then commit to it. And if you're not making the money that you're looking to make, it's either because your skill set isn't strong enough, which anyone that is on these calls, especially being on 4 minutes after the time has passed, you guys are working on your skill set. If you're not there yet, you're going to be there very soon. There's 18 people here out of 6,000 in our region right now. You guys are being extremely proactive. So congratulate yourselves for that. Your business is going to be better for it. So it's either that your skill set isn't there or you're just not speaking to nearly enough people. And it's probably that you're not speaking to enough people, because even if you had the worst skill set in the world, if you talk to everybody, you're going to have some business fall in your lap. You're the most skilled person and you only talk to 3 people a day. You're not giving yourself many opportunities. So figure out what you guys are willing to commit to, and then commit to it, and probably do it a little bit more than you're expecting. You're never going to have as little business as you do today, as long as you commit to that. All right. Thank you guys for staying on. Friday from 12 to 1 o'clock. I'll invite anyone that's still on right now to my scripts call. It's on Zoom. You can get there, coach2cap.com. That'll point you to the Zoom room. So anyone that would like to join, feel free to. We're going to be going over scripts, and we do that every Friday from 12 to 1 o'clock. All right. Thank you guys. If you need anything else,
Thank you.
I'll stay on for about 60 seconds so I can put my contact information in the chat. And if you guys have any questions afterwards, feel free to reach out.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Hope everyone has a wonderful day.
Thank you, guys. Happy Tuesday.
Lauren, thank you for spearheading today.
Thank you for jumping in. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Great job today, and have a wonderful week.
Likewise, take care.